Everyone's going on. Dan Gheesling podcast got a special episode for you today. We got an interview with the one, the only Tweak, dialing all the way in from Ireland. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Happy to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on. So just to give you guys some context, Tweak and I got connected through Tarkov. And one of the cool things about Tarkov is it's such a hardcore game. But the community, to me, on my end, and everything I've interacted, everyone's super friendly. Does that surprise you at all about the Tarkov community?
I think the main thing about the Tarkov community is that you're mostly looking at like an older audience. So you'll find that people aren't, I've noticed like playing games in other directories, you get people coming in, trolling and being generally less nice. But I think it's because it's like an older crowd that enjoy, more difficult games. I think that's why you get a cooler community and definitely like a much older audience. And I feel like the streamer age as well is definitely a decent bit higher than other categories out there on Twitch.
Well, we're gonna get into your age and everything, but for people who are tuning in right now that may not be familiar with you, how do you describe what you do, what you bring to the table on Twitch and YouTube, and what your focus is?
So as far as YouTube goes, we mostly do just like guides and keeping people up to date with what's going on with Tarkov. As far as the stream goes, it's basically we just play games and we just, for lack of a better term, we chat shit all day. We make fun of each other. We talk about how our raids have been going, and we usually just have a good time, just joke around. We don't really take anything too seriously.
Okay, cool. So I want to fast forward. We were talking about this before we started going live, but this is essentially your comic book one. And I always like to get the story of how people get started on Twitch. And so for you, when did that start and how did that start?
Okay, so I always wanted to do some type of content creation. So like,
why?
I started with YouTube a couple of times.
Why did you want to? How did you know that, or why did you? And I might cut you off, and it's only because I want to go deeper.
Yeah, that's good. So I always hated school, never enjoyed it. I was always like the class clown or whatever, making jokes and getting in trouble, and I didn't really care as long as somebody kind of got a laugh out of it. And then I suppose the main thing for me was I kind of struggled in school. Like I went through like depression, like all this other kind of general stuff that like a lot of other people go through. And I found kind of like solace in watching other people's YouTube content. This was before I ever got into like watching streams and stuff. So a few people in particular kind of inspired me. And I was like, hey, this looks really fun. Like I think I could do this too. And every time I started it, something would happen in my life where I wouldn't be able to continue it anymore. So yeah, that was kind of what inspired me anyway, to try and like put out content for people.
Who did you enjoy watching that helped you, when you're in school and you're like, man, school, I don't like school. This is not fun. Like, do you remember the couple people that were like sparked your fire?
Yeah, for sure. So it was mostly, and a lot of people will know who these people are, a group called The Creatures.
Mm-hmm.
They were around for a long time, disbanded a couple of years ago. Not going to get into it. So I had actually been watching that group of creators, specifically a guy called SSOHPKC, Seamus, who was like insane. He'd upload like 7 or 8 YouTube videos a day of like Let's Plays and stuff like that. Like the dude was a madman. I still don't understand how he did it. But it was mostly him. I used to watch a lot of his content because obviously he uploaded a ton. So like I was never out of stuff to watch.
And I'm unfamiliar with his content. Like, what kind of videos would he make? Would there be a wide range of games or games like all staying in a similar lane? Or
out of like the 7 or 8 videos he'd upload a day, it could be 2 episodes of one game, 2 episodes of another game, 2 episodes of another game. But it was just a general like gameplay commentary. But like sometimes he'd get into like his personal life and like how he was feeling, and like it was really unique in a way because he would like talk to his audience as if it was a live stream. But it was YouTube. It's like really, it was kind of hard to explain, but he was always very real with everybody. There was no kind of act or bullshit going on, and I think that's what like what drew me to him and why I liked him so much.
Oh, cool. So what do you remember what games that he played?
Yeah, I say like a couple of my favorite series would have been his Mario playthroughs. He would do Mario ROM hacks where he would mostly talk about life stuff. And like they were really entertaining as well. And he'd talk about the game. Sometimes it'd be a really hard level, you get super annoyed with it. Another one I really liked was, of course, like Dark Souls and all the Grand Theft Auto games he did. But honestly, I watched like literal thousands of hours of his videos. Like the playthroughs went from like BioShock to like Sly Fox and like all this other stuff. So there was tons I ended up watching of his.
So you watch all this content of this guy, and then eventually you're like, hey, I can do this. So when did it go for you from watching to, hey, let me get a mic and start this thing?
So, oh my God, I was super young at the time, and I started where I feel like everybody else started, and that was with like Call of Duty commentaries and stuff.
Okay, and
I
for
had this
context,
whole
like
this.
what year was that, and roughly how old were you?
Oh my
I
God,
mean, you don't have to
this
get it
would have
down to
been
the day,
like
but
this would have been like around maybe like 2008.
oh
I would
wow, so
say
that
was
was a long
maybe when I
time
first
ago.
started. Yeah, a really long time ago. So I remember I had like a HP HDX 18 with a GTX 9600 graphics card.
Okay.
And I used the built-in mic on that to record the commentary. And I used to record the gameplay with my Hauppauge HD PVR, which like crazy throwbacks to old
Yeah.
tech that we used to use. So I'd record my gameplay, and if I found a gameplay that I thought was good enough, I would then write a script and I would talk about certain topics in the videos, and then I would go off my script and we'd record like, a 10-minute video, because like you couldn't go over 10 minutes back then unless you had a certain amount of subscribers or something. I can't remember how it worked,
Mhm.
but that was where I started.
And then when you posted your first video where you're like, this is going to be amazing, there's going to be thousands of views, do you remember any expectations you had for it? And then how did your first video turn out?
I remember like I had friends back then that were doing YouTube stuff. Some old like 'cause I remember like Hazard Cinema was like the one that everybody wanted to get their stuff on. Same thing with like Machinima Respawn. And I knew a few other people that like started their own kind of like network with their own channels. And I was always like, oh, cool. If I make some good stuff, they'll put it on there and channel mic or whatever. But back then it was odd because like those types of videos would always get views no matter what, because there wasn't really like that many people posting like, let's say, quality content. Not like mine was great or anything, but it was kind of different, so it got like a little bit of traction. And I'm really sad I didn't stick with it. I couldn't really, because of like school and parents and all this other kind of stuff. But looking back at it now, like, oh my God, there was like so much potential there for, but you can't worry about stuff like that.
When you said you were started, I thought you were going to say like 2011, 2012, but 2008, that's like almost, I mean, it's not day one, but it's super early. And you mentioned like your parents, did they not understand? Did they not want you to play video games? Did they not want you to do these videos? Or what was the response like to your parents? And were you in high school at the time when you were doing this in 2008 or how?
Yeah, I would have been in high school, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, parents were just like, I don't know what you're doing, but like as long as you're doing your schoolwork, whatever. But like all they
Okay.
kind of knew about me playing games was after school I would not do my homework and I go play games with my friends, and that was it.
Okay, so it wasn't like they're like, stop doing videos, just be like, hey, handle your stuff and then you can do the videos.
Yeah, I don't even think I told them at the time that I was like making videos, 'cause I didn't want them to think I was like a dumb or something. So what are you doing? Post videos on the internet, you crazy person,
Okay, so 2008 you post some videos and then you take a break for a while. When do you, well, like what kind of views, like, so in 2008, do you know what kind of views your first videos had? Like couple hundred or like 10 or 5?
Yeah, like couple hundred. And then like I remember I made this series called like it was like Shots of the Day or something. It was like this little 3-minute compilation of like shots, like cool sniper shots or whatever. And I remember those did like better than the other stuff. But yeah, a couple of hundred, maybe a couple of thousand on some of them, maybe. Yeah, I really don't remember. It's been a long time since I looked back at those channels.
Which had to be cool though, being in high school and putting videos, be like, man, people are watching this. So then, so then you stop, and then when do you get back into doing videos?
So I did it like sporadically, like video here and there, but like some of them I recorded, never bothered uploading because my internet was really bad. And then I went to college in 2010. And then when I was first year in college, I started doing more stuff kind of like akin to what Seamus's videos were, where it was just like gameplay commentaries. Did a few of those, and then my account got like copyright striked a few times because I uploaded gameplay for a game where the developers had shut down. Like there's no, it wasn't them who copyright striked me. And then I wasn't allowed to like monetize my thing anymore. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm going to stop now because I'm kind of screwed from the get go. Because back then, if you lost monetization, that was it. You were over if you were a small channel like mine. And then after that, myself and my girlfriend moved into our own apartment when we were still in college. And then I'd kind of decided a couple of months into the course, like, okay, I'm going to drop out. And then we started doing more videos again. And it was going really well. Like, we were doing gameplay stuff and doing horror stuff, because then horror was like really in. This was like post kind of PewDiePie blow up horror kind of era.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I found out that my dad got cancer. And then that was it. Had to totally stop doing it then. I was just like taking care of my mom and like staying home and stuff. And then after that, I went back to college, did another 3 years of that. And then I just told my mom, I was like, hey, I hate this. I'm like so depressed. I hate what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go try this streaming thing for a year. And she helped me pay for the computer. She let me move into my brother's apartment, like rent free for a while. And then that was where we like got started here.
What initially did you go to college for?
So the first college course I did was games design and software development.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I did drug and medicinal product analysis.
Is that like health? Is that like healthcare stuff?
It's like chemistry.
Okay, chemistry.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big 180. Was it like, hey, I want to do game design, and then things happen with your family, like, hey, I need to make money? Is that kind of why you?
No. So the person who ran the science department in college was like really good friends with my dad. And she told him that, oh yeah, if he comes to school here, we'll take care of him, and we'll make sure he gets the best and all this other kind of stuff. So it wasn't really my decision. It was more so kind of my dad's decision and her decision. And I was, at the time, to be totally honest with you, man, like I was a total shell of a human being at the time. I was not I was not in any position to make like life-changing decisions about like what college course do I want to go to. I was just like, yeah, I'll do this, whatever, don't care.
Just because
sure, I'll go do this, yeah.
Because you're dealing with the news and all the stuff with the health of your dad, you're just like, yeah, whatever. This is not high on my priority list. Let me just go forward with it.
Pretty much, yeah. And then before that, the other time when I was making more videos, and then the next time I stopped, my best friend actually got cancer as well, and he died within that year as well. So when I started streaming, I was sitting there and I was thinking, yeah, this is great and all, this is going to be a fun adventure, but like, Jesus, who's going to die next, or what tragedy is going to befall me? So far, touch wood, thank God.
No, I mean, so when did you start streaming? What year roughly? Because you said your mom set you up, got you hooked up.
Yeah, so it started like 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Almost 3 years ago.
So call it 2017-ish?
Yeah, 2017-ish. Yeah, I think it was like I got started with Tarkov in like September 2017.
Okay.
Was it? Yeah, I think. I could be wrong on that, but
And was that the first game that you ever streamed?
No. So I think the first game I ever streamed was PUBG. I used to play that with my buddies, and then I like streamed League of Legends as well. And the way I got introduced to Tarkov was P-Bro.
Yeah.
So it's so random. I was streaming Diablo 3 to like 4 viewers. I was one viewer, my girlfriend was the other viewer, and then our tablet in the bedroom was the third viewer. And then this other random dude called Alucard was our fourth viewer, who used to come in and hang out. He found me through Diablo. And P-Bro came into the chat because we followed him on Twitter. And at the time, he happened to be looking for other Irish streamers to like network with and meet and stuff. And he was asking me like, oh, what do you want to do with streaming? And I was like, oh, I want to hopefully eventually make this my job. I really like it and blah, blah, blah. And, the usual stuff. And then he says, why are you playing Diablo 3? Like, what? You're going to go nowhere with this. He was very blunt with me. And he was like, come play Tarkov with me. And I was like, okay, don't know what Tarkov is, but sure. And then from there on, I was a Tarkov boy.
And then, so you're streaming to essentially like one person in like 2017. P-Bro comes in. Did you know who P-Bro was at the time?
I had no idea.
Okay.
No idea. I didn't know anybody at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, so then you start streaming Tarkov, and then what do you notice during your streams, or what's going on? I mean, because I would imagine that things, there's more than your tablet and one person watching you play Tarkov.
Yeah, I remember the directory being a lot smaller than it is now, that's for sure. I remember people coming in and noticing that I was new, and everybody just being super helpful and just wanting to like give me stuff and like help me with certain things. I was like, dude, this is great. Like this is awesome. And then we got up to like 10 viewers eventually, like 20 viewers eventually, and it was just kind of like steadily kind of grew. And I was really loving playing the game. The community was great. And yeah, it was just a really good time compared to everything else I'd done.
And then during this time, is this your 100% focus? Or are you working a side job? Or are you just all in, like just minimizing everything so you can do this full time?
So I used to work part-time in a vape shop.
Mhm.
And
Why
I
do you
used to
laugh?
work
Why do you
Mondays and
laugh when you said
Tuesdays.
that?
I laugh because I vape, and
Oh,
everyone's
okay.
like, "Oh, typical. You used to work in a vape shop." You know? I don't know why it's so funny. It was a pretty good job. Like I used to get and sit there and vape, and like customers were usually fairly chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to work in a vape shop like once or 2 days a week, and then sometimes they'd call me in to like work in another store in the city that I live in, maybe 1 or 2 other days. So that money was basically like our groceries or whatever. So like we were so unbelievably broke for such a long time, but like we were kind of used to it. And, like my mom helped us too. Like if we ever really stuck for something, she'd help us out. So yeah, that was all I did. And then after that, it was just like I used to stream like 16 hours a day. Like I used to stay up all night Sunday streaming, stay up, go to work, come home, uh, and then eat a curry and watch P-Bro stream on Monday nights. And then I'd go to bed, go to work, and then come home Tuesday night and stream. And yeah, it was so
How long did that
unbelievably
go on?
unhealthy.
How long did that go on for? If you had to guess.
Uh God, it was at least a year, I want to say, that I worked in that shop. Yeah, but it was it was bad. But
Were-
like it was weird because like we were doing okay on Twitch at the time. Like we were making like a little bit more than what we were, and then all of a sudden like we kind of got a bit of a spurt. And then after kind of like weeks of deciding, oh, are we gonna commit to this or not? And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave my job and we'll see how it goes, kind of thing.
But I mean, if you're streaming 16 hours a day, most like, and you quit, how much more time is there to stream beyond that? You know what?
Like I wouldn't recommend anybody try and stream for like that long back. Like it was at least between 12 and 16 hour streams
Why
like every day playing Tarkov.
why do you say you wouldn't recommend that?
Well, for one, it's incredibly unhealthy. And for me, I've cut my stream hours way back now. I do like at most like 8 hour streams because I feel like after the kind of 6 to 7 hour mark, because I'm like talking to chat so much all day and focusing on the game and stuff, I feel like I just get like tired. And I'm just kind of sitting there at one point, just kind of playing the game and not really being like entertaining, or, I just kind of want to go relax and, kind of unwind or whatever. Like by all means, like when you first start, of course, like put the hours in, but like I would never recommend anybody do like 12 to 16 hour streams every day because it's not healthy at all.
When you were doing that for a year, did you see significant growth? Was it flatlining for you? Was it because that's a lot of time to put into something? So I'm either thinking you just truly enjoy it, or you're seeing like growth. Like what kept you going during that time? Because that is
Oh, I mean, like I loved it. I remember we hit 1,000 followers when we started streaming at New Year's, and that was where I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, "Oh, you hit 1,000 followers, you should do something." I was like, "Oh, I'll dye my hair purple," and like since then, I've always been dyeing my hair. So like I don't know, I got like a lot of support from a lot of really awesome people. I got lucky and networked with a lot of really cool people as well, and there were times where we had like a month of just no growth. We are just averaging like 20-25 viewers a stream or whatever, but like we'd be getting followers here and there. But it was more so about like I just got lucky. Like I met the right people and just I got really lucky. Like it personally, I think anyway.
who are some of those people that you met that makes you feel lucky, and what happened, or how did it transpire?
Oh, so like I mean, P-Bro, like we would have never have met if like my girlfriend followed him on Twitter on my Twitter account, and then he just decided to randomly pop in one day. If it wasn't for him, I might have never played Tarkov.
Mhm.
And then like I mean, I met people like Clean, people like Chicken Prism was like huge. Chicken helped me out like so much. He still like we still joke about like Chicken Prism hosted me to partnership or whatever, but like one day Chicken hosted me and then the next day we played together, and from there that was when like not so long like after that, well, it was like 6 months, I think I got partnered after that, after getting denied like 4 or 5 times, I think it was. But like after that moment specifically, like just I remember it just, yeah, everything just kind of snowballed, I guess.
Do you remember when you got partnered? Do you remember the email? And take us to that moment. Like, so you got denied a bunch of times. And for people, for context, getting partnered essentially means you get your. Was this before affiliate stuff, or was this? I'm just trying to.
Oh
think.
no, we were affiliates at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the difference. Explain the difference between affiliate and partner.
So basically, being an affiliate, you need what? 3 average viewers, 50 followers. You've got to stream like 3 times in a month or something like that. And then the requirements for partner is you need to average 75 viewers. But realistically, it's a lot more than that. It's about 120 to 130 from what I've gathered. There's no follower count that you need to have, but like you've got to stream for like 6 hours on 4 unique days in the month or something. I can't remember what the requirements are, but basically getting partnered back then, it was like you get to unlock a ton of new emote slots. You get like prioritized support with Twitch. You know, if you ever needed anything, you get the fancy little check mark. Yeah, I mean, there isn't really like a huge difference between being a partner and an affiliate. It's just more of like, hey, you're kind of recognized as somebody Twitch wants to like, you know, promote as one of their verified content creators.
Okay, and roughly for context, do you remember when you got partnered? Like month and year?
Yeah, it was very awkward. What month and year? It was October 16th, 2018.
Okay. You said something was awkward. What was awkward?
So we were dealing with the UK partnerships department, a guy called Parky. And I remember we were talking to him like a couple of times. We got denied, and he was like, oh, you just need to get your average up a little bit more and be a little bit more consistent with it or whatever. And then
weren't you streaming? Was this when you were streaming 12 to 16 hours a day? Or was this?
No, I'd like cut back. We were doing like maybe 8 to 10 hours a day at this point, which was fine for me.
But he's saying you had to get your viewer numbers up?
Yeah, okay. We needed to get like our average viewers higher because like we were getting a lot of hosts at the time. You know how Tarkov is. Like everybody hosts each other and people get crazy hosts like all the time. So it was one of those situations where like no other directory I feel like gets that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where everyone just knows each other. But yeah, my girlfriend got a message on Twitter from him. And she replied, or if she sent him a message saying, hey, just checking in on our partner application or something like that. And then he responded to her and said, oh, wait, you guys aren't partnered yet? We were supposed to do that. And then he sends her another message saying, oh, yeah, go to your dashboard and just hit the button and do the onboarding and then you're good to go or whatever. So like she was on the bus coming back down, like still 2.5 hours away from me. So she was talking to Baddy because I was asleep at the time, like explaining to her, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. I can't believe I wasn't like with him when it happened or whatever. So like she gets home, we have a big celebration, we get on stream and, you know, it's like, woo, you know, we finally did it after 6 months of getting denied for whatever. So yeah, it was awesome. It was really nice. For sure. Great feeling.
That's awesome. So you're doing the stuff with P-Bro and then you said from there, it just kind of went up. Can you explain what happened from your eyes and what happened from that moment?
I mean, it's just the kind of like the quote unquote like magic of Tarkov. Just like all the streamers are super awesome and super friendly. Yes, there's beefs between like, you know, certain people or whatever, but like there isn't much of it. There's barely any like real drama here. It's all very kind of mature. But just the thing with me was like just networking. I just always got into situations where I was playing with different people and like we were becoming friends and like they were kind of starting to share their audience with me and I was sharing my portion of, you know, my audience with them. And yeah, it was all very natural. Like nothing was ever forced. You know, people would message me or I'd hang out with people and then they'd just say, hey, do you want to come do some raids tomorrow? I'd be like, yeah, sure, man. Let's, you know, whatever. And yeah, like I'm still kind of weird about it. I never ask anybody to play because it's like, oh, I still feel like I'm being like I don't know. It's just like I always wait to be asked because I remember people telling me before, no, you never ask anyone else to play with you, blah blah blah. And it's like I don't know. It's something I need to get over. But
well, you bring up something interesting. You said that you network, but it happened organically, meaning like. Can you explain that? Because I feel like that's really important in terms of, you know, when people ask, how did you do this on Twitch or what happened? You know, can you explain for you how it was organic and what that meant to you?
I just, like, I guess it started with P-Bro and then like a couple of other people that I met along the way, like Chicken Prism. And the way it happened was he like I would hang around in his chat or whatever and just be like, oh, when something cool would happen, I'd be like, oh, it was awesome, blah blah blah, and just just chilling, just hanging out with people. And then I think the way it is like, you kind of hang around with other people, and then they see you're online, they're browsing the directory. It's like, oh, that Tweak's on. Yeah, he was hanging around my stream, let's go in and see what's going on with him. And then they hang out and they see what you're like and they talk in your chat, and then you're just kind of chatting, and then one thing leads to another. You just kind of become friends and then just play games together. You don't have to like I see people on Twitter doing this all the time. They're like adding their, this dude they want to play with, like, hey dude, we should throw down sometime. And it's like, you have no idea who you are. You know what I mean? It's, you have to do it naturally. If you really like somebody, and you hang around in their stream a lot or whatever, and they reciprocate that and they come over to your stream and like you want to ask them to play sometime, by like all means go and do it. But for me, I got asked like a lot, which for me was great because I never had like the stones to ask anybody else to play with me, because I always considered myself back then to be like, really small. But yeah, again, I guess just luck.
But I think it's important to note that you were just hanging out in Twitch communities or Twitch shows that you liked. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you didn't watch, say, P-Bro or Chicken Prism or Clean and be like, hey, do you want to play sometime? Can we play? Can you host me? It was just, you were just hanging out.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
but
no.
I think that's important to note, and that, that's just, it seems like you didn't go into that with an agenda. If something happened, cool. And if not, it wasn't a big deal. But I feel like that's one of the things that maybe some people miss on, is that I'm sure you wanted to grow. Like, you want this to be your life. You wanted to grow just like everyone else, but you didn't do it in a way that was, and it's no judgment, but you just did it in a natural way. So it's kind of just happened,
Yeah, I never had an agenda with anything. And it's something like I think of in my head sometimes. It's like, if I'm gonna like tag somebody on Twitter or like say something in somebody's chat, I'm always like very wary. It's like, oh God, what if they take this the wrong way or whatever? And it's like just working it up in my head like it's some crazy thing or whatever, just kind of being careful about what I say to certain people or whatever. But it's, yeah, like, I mean, I don't know, I don't hang around in people's streams that I and I don't really like enjoy their content.
Yeah,
that's like a mean thing to say or whatever. But,
no.
yeah, I don't know. I just kind of hang around with people whose content I like, and if we end up playing together, then that's great. And if we don't, well, I still enjoy your content, and that's kind of it. I don't know. I never really had a big grand schemes like, how I'm gonna network with this guy, and then I'm gonna scuttle over here, and I'm gonna make friends with this guy, and then we're gonna play together, and I'm gonna get hosted, and I'm gonna get all this viewership. It's like, nah, it was never a part of the plan.
Yeah.
Not that there ever was a plan, but yeah.
No, okay, so you start, you connect with P-Bro, just things happen naturally. Numbers wise, so you said that was like you got partnered in 2018. So back then, do you remember, because I always just like to get into this just to give the people listening some context. Roughly how many people were watching you at that time?
Around that time, we were averaging anywhere from like 160 to 180 viewers by the time we got partnered, I believe. Yeah.
And then fast forward to present day, 2020. Well, before we get there, let's talk about what I call the Tarkovssance. Was the end of December when the drops happen and all,
Oh my God.
So
yeah.
take me, when that happened, what happened to your channel during that time?
So I got on, thought I was being view botted, because I didn't think that like the drops thing was going to make that big of a difference. And then for that week, we had anywhere from like 3 to like 4 or 5,000 viewers, gained like an absurd amount of followers, new subscribers, crazy amounts of views. I broke 1 million views during that, I believe. It was insane.
Awesome.
I just I don't know what else to say about it. It was just absolutely nuts. Like, I mean, yourself. But yeah, I remember I feel like a lot of mine came from YouTube, because I made a video explaining, this is what's happening right now. If you want the drops, come over here, link your Tarkov account, watch my stream, blah blah blah. Because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of this.
No, what did you do? What was the context, or what was the video? What was in the video?
It was just basically, hey, the drops are happening. You can get items cases and all this other awesome stuff for free just by watching me. You don't even have to sub. You don't even have to follow. You just have to watch either me or any other streamer that has drops enabled. But obviously, watch my stream and give me your prime stuff, and yeah.
But so essentially you explained what the Tarkov drop promotion was in the video.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
Pretty much, yeah.
and then were people coming over and saying, "Hey, I just saw your video. I wanted to check out your Twitch channel." How did you know that that was the connection between people checking out?
God, I don't know. I mean, it could have just been a case of there were so many people watching that had never really bothered watching Tarkov before, but I think a lot of the audience came over from everyone's YouTube channels, because if you run a Tarkov YouTube channel alongside a stream, you'll notice people come in a lot and they're like, "Hey, I watched your videos, just decided to check your stream. Hey, you're live, so I'm gonna watch for a while." But usually YouTube viewers and Twitch viewers, the YouTube people generally like to watch YouTube a lot more than they do the streams. But like, I've had a lot of people come over. But there's definitely, like, if your video gets 10,000 views, you might get like, 20 people that might come over to the stream and check it out, it's a big number. It definitely like adds up when you upload a lot. But mostly people just consume content on YouTube and then they never really come over to the streams. But I think for the drops, because they could get free stuff in Tarkov, a lot of new players at the time as well were just like, "Oh my God, this is so great. I could buy all my favorite stuff with all this stuff if I sell it." And yeah, I think for me anyway, YouTube. But I mean, a lot of it could have been just lurking Twitch viewers that never really watched very much, and then they were like, "Okay, I want my free Tarkov stuff," and then they go watch a stream.
Okay. So there's 3,000 to 5,000 viewers during the Tarkovssance. After, and I think we were all in the middle of it. Like, when the drops go away, what's going to happen? We don't know. So as things after that ended, where did things kind of settle for you and your stream numbers wise after the the hysteria of Tarkov, that the Tarkov's moment in the sun?
I would say now we're kind of chilling from like 400 to maybe peaking at like 8, depending on the day. It changes daily. Like, it depends on who's streaming, who's on that day. It's, yourself, like, depending on when you get on, it's just your viewership can be up and down, but it depends. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say somewhere between 400 and 800, averaging probably maybe 5 to 550 on average, I guess I'd say. Yeah.
So in we'll call it 2 years, you went from 20, I'll just split the middle, 20 concurrent viewers to about 600 concurrent viewers, on average.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's pretty insane. That's like exponential growth.
I gotta jump in here and say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
None of this would have been possible without my girlfriend, who's sitting over there, Show. She literally runs the show. Everything that you see happening off stream, like as far as like certain stuff on Twitter, or getting like YouTube videos edited, uploaded, rendered, and constantly nagging me to do certain things differently or do this, do that. Like, if it wasn't for her, I'd be nowhere. So yeah,
she was on my show notes to bring up. So just let Show know. So in terms of things that she asked you to do, what are some things that she's asked you to do that ended up being extremely important, that something you may have overlooked over the course of, let's just say, the past couple years?
Oh, like uploading consistently to YouTube is like been the biggest thing. She's always on my ass. It's like, "We need a video today," and I'm like, I don't know what to make. I say, "Well, figure it out, you idiot. We need a video." And I'm like, it's not always like that. I'm just being dramatic for the sake of the podcast. But yeah, she really like gets on my ass about making YouTube content, because in my opinion, like, to anybody watching this that wants to like stream and stuff, like, YouTube is the most important thing, like, by far, to do to like grow your channel these days. Use your YouTube to advertise your Twitch. That's what you want to do. But like, as far as other stuff she's gotten me to do, she's like, "Hey, stop swearing so much," or, stop, like, sometimes on stream I might be like, so a troll comes in and like I might go like a little bit too far, like roasting them, and it gets personal, and then it just kind of gets like a bit too far.
What will she do?
Like,
will she come in the room and like do this, or will she hit you up in chat? Well, how will she get you to?
No, it would usually be after stream. She's like, "Hey, you remember that guy in chat? Yeah, could you like not destroy his whole life? Like, what live? Can you just like tone that back just a little bit?" Yeah, I thought there's a bunch of things. Like, I remember before, it was just like, "Hey, get the mic like closer to your mouth," because sometimes I'd like have it over, over here or whatever, and she's like, "People can't hear you," or like, "Stop talking to chat like over there." So now I kind of do this. I kind of lean into the mic when I'm like looking at chat so they can hear me, instead of going like this or whatever, and the mic's over here. Then like looking at the camera while I'm recording videos, she gets on me about that sometimes, and making me pose for thumbnails, and it's just, yeah.
That's awesome. Let me ask this, is maybe a little personal. Is that, you think, helped strengthened, hurt, or it has no effect on your relationship with her?
No, like we've got a great relationship. We rarely ever fight, really. We're just too, I feel like we're both just kind of too lazy to argue about things sometimes. You know, standard stuff. It's usually my fault when something happens. So I get the brunt of it. She's pretty much perfect. She doesn't do anything wrong.
But that
But
sounds,
yeah, we've been
it sounds pretty amazing.
sorry.
She's your biggest cheerleader, supporter, getting in there with you, executing on stuff,
Oh
thumbnails.
yeah.
I mean, that's got to be an amazing feeling for you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, I've said this, like, people are just like, oh, you're great and blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, if it wasn't for her, there would be, there wouldn't be a me.
Does she want to come on
She's
and
so
say hi
eager,
real
like,
quick?
does she want to come on and say hi real quick?
Yeah, because we're talking about it. I feel like she doesn't have to. I just wanted to. It's
probably not.
okay. That's
she's
fair.
working on
Just
something over
just
there,
tell her I
no,
said hello.
Give me the nod.
Okay.
She's like, no.
Okay. So she, she talked about, and you talked about, or she inferred the importance of YouTube. What is your, in 2020 right now, what's your strategy on YouTube in terms of how you approach it on a day-to-day?
So you want to be uploading like at least every kind of second or third day. I think the YouTube algorithm favors videos that are uploaded consistently, or favors channels that upload more consistently than others, because YouTube wants to make their ad money, and the more consistently you upload, the more use like your audience are to like seeing you upload on these days or whatever. So I just kind of make videos about anything I possibly can. Like I made a video on like the new keys for interchange most recently, and my opinions on the new weight system. And then sometimes I'll just upload a random raid here or there, that was really good, or like raids with my buddies. If we're kind of stuck for like an original video to make, which is kind of the great thing about Tarkov, because not all of it has to be, a guide or original content. It can just be this banger of a raid that you had, and it makes things a lot easier, like editing wise and uploading wise, because we don't really have a lot of time to really sink into YouTube like a full-time YouTuber would.
But still, for you, you've realized the importance, and you're able to still do it, because I'm with you. I don't think it's easy by any stretch of the imagination to run a Twitch show and also run YouTube. I mean, it's like a slippery slope of where you spend your time, and not only that, but you got to decide, hey, where do you get the bang for the buck? What helps? But I think for you, it sounds like you've been able to find a manageable schedule or manageable way to do both.
Yeah, it's because of her, because I don't edit the videos or anything. She edits them,
Wow.
uploads them, writes the descriptions, comments, moderates the comments on the YouTube videos and stuff. Because this is her full-time job as much as it is mine. She doesn't have a job. She just works with me on all of this, because honestly, without her, if she was in a full-time job working somewhere else or whatever, this wouldn't be anywhere near where we are now. So like, I need her.
So you're in
I
it
need her
together.
to help me. Like, yeah, for sure. Like from day one, we said it, like before we ever hit the go live button for the first time, it was like, if we're going to do this, we're going to give it our all, and no half measures. We're going to just do it, and there's like, failure is not an option. Like we had just decided, like, we're not going to fail at this. And we did everything within our power to like, do this and like become somewhat successful at it.
For you, where does that come from? Failure is not an option, because that's not something that I think people throw around. The average person throws around and then means it. Where does that come from for you?
Well, it's like, I remember my dad just like, he would say stuff like, if you're gonna do something, do it right. Like, and that's just kind of, it always kind of stuck with me. And he was always like, he's super successful, like entrepreneur, ran his own companies for years, and like was always super successful. So it was like, for me, I was like, oh Jesus, how am I going to live up to this? Like, what do I do? And then I don't know, I just like, after I like got depressed in college and stuff, I did like a lot of thinking about what I wanted to do. And I was like, I can't see myself doing anything where somebody else is my boss. Maybe I've got like a problem with authority or something. I don't know.
Sounds like you're self-aware.
Yeah, I just knew that what I was doing, I wasn't happy. And for me to be happy, I had to do this, and it had to work, and we had to make a living off it. And I was like, I don't care what it takes. I want to do this, be somewhat successful, and be happy with what I'm doing, rather than being depressed out of my mind working a 9-to-5 job somewhere that I hate with people I don't like or something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and it's cool to hear your story. How it's like you put in a lot of time, some things happen, you've hit a lot of roadblocks along the way, but you haven't stopped. And I just want to throw you a curveball, because I think this is something that I think about sometimes, and I don't know if you think about it, but is it safe to say for the most part? Well, you tell me this. What is your content breakdown of a pie? It's 100%. How much of that pie is Tarkov?
Oh, all of it, pretty much. Yeah.
Is that
Like yeah, God, I was afraid you were gonna say this.
no? But I just want to have the conversation because here, like you're ripping and roaring on Tarkov. Like it's you're moving, you're seeing a lot of progress, you're enjoying it. It's a fun game. You're making cool videos. You're seeing a lot of success. But I just want to throw that curveball at you because I think it's an interesting conversation.
So as far as Tarkov goes, and I've talked to people about this before, and it's like the DayZ effect, where like a lot of DayZ content creators try to move over to another game. A couple of weeks later, that's it, they're gone. That was all anybody ever heard of them. A lot of people just moved on. And with Tarkov, like I've seen people come and go that are just sick of Tarkov. They go away and do something else, and then poof, gone. But what I've been doing recently is if I'm doing an 8-hour stream, I've been doing 4 hours of Tarkov, and then I'll do 4 hours of something else. I do like Counter-Strike or like League of Legends, or like I'll do something else. And I've noticed, at least for me, like the more often I do this, the more people actually hang around and they stay. So before, instead of having like 600 viewers and then dropping down to like 120 after switching to another game, I've noticed we're keeping like 200-300 maybe, which is like great, because like as long as the chat's still active for me, I'm super stoked with whatever I'm doing. Like as long as the chat is talking, everybody's having a good time. There's a few lulls and keck W's here and there. I'm good. I'm happy. But like, God, it like really hurts for me. Like when I do something else and chat is just dead, and it's just the worst feeling in the world. I'm like, hey, are you guys still there or whatever? And like, hey, yeah. People pop up because they're like, oh, shit, I haven't said anything in like half an hour. But yeah, it's definitely it's something that I feel like every streamer goes through. Like if you're not some massive variety streamer, just being trapped in like the Tarkov directory and like you need to do this to pay your bills kind of thing. But I mean, there's worse things you could be doing, I guess, to pay your bills,
And when you say you notice when it does dip or when chat gets silent, or the rare time that it happens, do you process that and you be like, okay, hey, look, I tried this game, it was a resident sleeper, don't do that again? Or do you just say, hey, it was just an off day? What do you do with that information internally?
It's usually just down to, well, I know I've kind of signed my warrant here. Like I know I've only done Tarkov for 2.5 years. It's going to take some time to get people used to watching me play other stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is as well, it's like I'm at a point now with Tarkov where I can just read chat and play the game. I don't care. I'm so comfortable with it, and it still gets me killed all the time. But like personally, I don't care. Like it doesn't bother me. I'm more there for talking to chat and then sometimes making some plays or whatever. But usually I'm just talking to chat all day. But when you move over to another game, you also have to find your rhythm with that. You have to like figure out, okay, how can I do this? How can I balance chat and the game and still have enough focus to do well in this if it's like a competitive game, and like keep people's attention, but make it entertaining as well. It takes some time because you might start off playing Counter-Strike and you're not too comfortable balancing it, and then after a week or two, you're in your groove. You've got your you have your things you can do, or like how you talk to chat or when you talk to chat, and then things start getting more natural. And then I think when you get into that, people are more comfortable hanging out and watching you do other stuff.
So I'm gonna ask you another, not a curveball, but what has been the best game you've experimented with on the second half of your show, and what has been maybe the one that was the least best?
So I got back into Counter-Strike recently.
What got you back into Counter-Strike? What like? Or did you watch a esports event, or why Counter-Strike?
Oh, so I've always loved Counter-Strike. I've got like thousands of hours across like 1.6 Source, CS:GO. And to be honest with you, I always love playing competitive games. Tarkov, in my opinion, it's not a competitive game. There's no ranking system. There's no real competition. If you die, you die. It's it's whatever. You just lose some rubles. But
I mean, losing those rubles for someone like you with 100 million stash doesn't hurt. But when you got 500, but they hurt.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like 2 years ago, like it would have been a big deal to me to like die with loadout. But like these days, I feel like it's the same for everybody else, who's been streaming it for a long time. We're kind of more comfortable with it now, and like loss isn't such a big concept to us anymore with the game because we know we could make it back. But I was always into playing ranked games, and I never, like, since I started streaming, I haven't really had a ranked game to play. So I was like, Counter-Strike, yeah, I could get back into that because I want to play Valorant when that comes out. So Counter-Strike is probably a pretty good game to get warmed up for that whenever that releases. And then I also like playing League of Legends. Like League of Legends is a game like chat doesn't like. Like there's a couple of people that like really like League and they'll stay and they'll talk the whole time we're playing it. But a lot of people will leave. But like Counter Strike, like people are like, oh, Counter Strike, yeah, I haven't played this in forever. And it's like, oh, dude, go, you know, you should get back into playing it. And people are definitely more open to watching other first-person shooters. Yeah, so Counter Strike, pretty good. Moving from Tarkov. League of Legends, really bad. Not surprisingly enough, but I do have to say though, when we do horror streams, people love that. Like everybody loves a good horror stream, I feel like. So horror is definitely another good game to like transition from Tarkov to.
That's cool. I want to ask you, because you bring up that you have a passion for playing ranked games. And you got a lot of time in Tarkov. Can you fathom, or what would be a way that you could make Tarkov competitive, like with some kind of passive ranking system? Have you ever thought about that and what it would look like? If Nikita gave you the keys to the car and said, hey, Tweak, just give us a category or a ranking somehow to come up with some sort of ladder system. Have you ever thought about how you would do that?
I mean, I liked the idea that they had with the seasons, where there was like the leaderboard for like most kills and all this other stuff. And I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that came out before we got BattlEye.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just cheaters like at the top of it and stuff. But for me, I would like to see something like, I don't know if you've ever played like, you know, like Diablo 3 and like Path of Exile and games like that, where they have seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works is you have your normal league where you can play your character and you can level it up to max. You never lose it, and all the gear you have stays there forever. Okay. Then you have seasonal characters where it's just, say, for example, it's like a stretch of 3 months. So your seasonal character, you have to grind it up from level 1, collect everything on it, you know, build your character, progress, do all the end game stuff. And then when that season ends, all of that gear that you got on your seasonal character transfers to your normal league character. So I always thought like Tarkov would be like a perfect game for this, where you could just have your regular character with all your hundreds of millions of rubles and tick cases and everything. And then they start a new season, which is on another character slot. And then there's a leaderboard for that. And like, there could be prizes for getting, you know, X done first. Like, because of all the quests in the game, you could be the first person to get this done. You could be the first person to get like 1,000 PMC kills or find this key or whatever. I always thought that would have been awesome, and it would really keep the game fresh. And then like they have the arena mode, which I mean, I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm sure that'll have some competitive itch to it as well, that, you know, people will get scratched.
Yeah, that's my only concern for Tarkov is I just know the hype around after a wipe, and it's to not have that, like once the game's finished and say that, you know, you max your character out, everyone's gonna, like, people I think are gonna drift off. Not that I'm not worried about what Nikita and everyone is gonna decide to do, because I feel like they've have a great vision and execution on what they're doing. But I'm kind of with you. I wasn't super familiar with the Path of Exile stuff, but I think something like that will keep the game going for a very long time, as opposed to kind of what happens now, which I'm sure you can speak to, is a new patch comes out, you burn through the content, and it takes a while, but then when you're done, it's like, okay, hey, what do we do now?
Time to wait another year. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad anymore. I think like when they do eventually stop wiping the game, I think they really will have to like implement some kind of like seasonal thing, I think, for some kind of competition, because I mean, anybody who's played Tarkov for more than 2 wipes, let's say, you know the feeling of having everything and nothing is a problem anymore. You don't worry about dying. Sure, you get a bit mad when you lose, like, you know, you're 4v5 or 1v5 and, you know, you kill 4 of them and the glass guy gets you or whatever. It's like, oh, damn. But like, that's what you really care about. It's the dying to the squad, but not losing your gear, you know?
See, I can't relate. You know, when usually it's a 5v1, I don't even get 1, let alone get 4 or 5. But that's a different story. But yeah. I want to put it on tape or on digital ink right now. Do you think, so we're going to look back at this in a year or two whenever Tarkov is finished, Tweak is going to predict that Tarkov will or will not have a season-like system implemented? If you had to guess.
I'm going to say that it will, and I'll also go one step further to say that we will also have an optional PMC that we can use for a hardcore mode. I think we'll have those 2 things.
Hardcore
mode, if I had to guess.
Meaning no traders?
Yeah, like no traders, everything has to be found in raid.
Wow.
It would be an extreme loss, I feel like, if they didn't have that, because I think people want it. and it would be a separate PMC to your main PMC, meaning you don't have to have like another alt account to play on or whatever. And then, yeah, I think those would be the two things that Tarkov will have when it releases. If I had to guess, because if you're getting rid of wipes, I think you need to have seasons to keep the game fresh.
Okay.
Same as Diablo and Path of Exile. It's how those games stay fresh.
And then I just want to be, the whatever you say, the inverse. Do you think that will split the player base at all, or do you think now that Tarkov had its moment in the sun, has a large player base, it doesn't matter?
I think that by the time the game is finished, and with the amount of growth that it's been gaining since the drops event, there's going to be more drop events. The game has been like one of the top games on Twitch since drops, and like it's getting a lot of attention. It's getting a lot of YouTube attention as well. And as far as the hardcore game mode goes, you're still going to be matched with people who are playing on regular accounts. But as far as the seasonal mode goes, I think like a vast majority of people are going to play on the seasonal mode as well.
Yeah.
There could be geez, maybe like a year ago I would have been, or well, not even a year ago, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, man, that would split the player base. It would ruin the game, etc. But I think like by the time the game is actually ready to launch, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, tweet confirmed here that there will be a Tarkov season. I'm just teasing. All right, so I want to circle back as we wrap things up here. Back to you. So 2020, things are going well on YouTube. Things are going really well on Twitch. What do you hope for, or on a day-to-day, what are you looking forward to in the future? What's your end goal with everything you're doing?
So I've always like, so people like, I don't know, like people look at me and they say, oh, I'm successful or whatever. Like in my own head, like I'm not successful yet. I feel like we're doing well, but we're not there yet. Like we're not even close to where like I want to be. I think like I look at people like Sequisha. I look at people like Admiral Baru. I look at people like Elias. He's a Swedish variety streamer. I look at these people and I think those guys are successful because they can kind of play whatever game they want and still draw in a massive audience and have a lot of interaction with those people. And it doesn't hurt them as much when they're not playing Tarkov. Like now, well, two of those people don't play Tarkov, but they don't necessarily have main games. Sequisha obviously played Tarkov quite a lot, but like he also dabbles in like a lot of other games as well. And I think that is like the definition of success on Twitch. Like if you can get over 1,000 viewers starting with something that isn't your main game, I think, in my opinion, that's where you've hit the margin for like success.
And so for you,
my opinion.
So when you get to that point, you think you'll take a step back and be like, all right, yeah, this is it.
I think when I get to that point, I'll be like, I'll be happy. Like if I ever get to that point, because who knows, it's such an up and down thing with Twitch. Like it's so unbelievably unpredictable. Like you can't call this kind of stuff happening. But I just I just keep it in my head as like, this is where I want to be. And I feel like as long as you have goals and you're working towards them, someday you might eventually get there, because if you're not working towards anything, well, what's the point? You have to have goals in mind for certain things.
All right. So last question for you. There's a young tweak listening right now, say 2020, say, maybe in high school, maybe early college. And they're like, man, I want to get to where Tweak is right now. And you have to give them your single greatest piece of advice that you've learned and executed on. What would you say to a young Tweak listening right now?
I don't like saying this because I feel like I get asked this like a lot, and it's usually like young kids who ask me, and like I feel really bad saying it. But in my opinion, these days, if you want to be a streamer or you want to be a YouTuber, whatever you're doing right now, college, school, whatever, you can't. You have to be like full time on this stuff these days. It's such a saturated market. There's so many people doing it. And like, it is really, really hard to even get a start these days because of how just, diluted everything is. Like, if you want to do it right, get yourself a partner. Or like, if you want to do it yourself, like, but you need to make it your main focus. It can be all you eat, sleep, and breathe doing. And like, you might not get anywhere for a year, and then you might get a break. Or you know what? You could be super successful within 6 months. And it's just one of those things. You never know. But I would say you've got to drop everything else you got going on and focus on this entirely. And
I want to bring just a little context to your advice. What did you set? Because I think people hear that and be like, oh, that sounds good, but don't know what it's like to do that. What do you feel like you've sacrificed to do that, to just go all in?
I mean, like, so I threw away 2 degrees that are useless to me now.
Mhm.
It was like 7 years of wasted time in college and money. But I mean, honestly, like I didn't really sacrifice all that much because I had nothing to sacrifice at the time. I was just, I just didn't. I knew I didn't want to be doing what I was doing in college, and to be honest, like none of this would have been possible without my mom. I sat her down one day and I was like, "Hey, mom, so this is going to sound kind of nuts, but just to let you know, I'm dropping out of college, and I'm gonna go play video games on the internet and try to make this my living or whatever." And she looked at me and she was like, okay, all right. And I was like, I explained to her like, what was going on with me and stuff and why I wanted to do it. And yeah, she was kind enough to help me out buying the computer and like some other stuff that we needed to get us started, like microphone, webcam, and all this other kind of stuff. And she provided us a place to stay rent free for like a long time to get us started, like a place with good internet. And yeah, I mean, like for me personally, I didn't really sacrifice much because I didn't really have anything to lose at the time. It was just, either sit at home and be on social welfare and do nothing and try and find a job, or go ahead and do this.
So it's safe to say that your mom gets a pretty nice Christmas gift every year.
My mom gets whatever she wants whenever she wants. Anytime she needs anything. We go out for lunch, no question of her paying. We were even at the store the other day, and she got milk and she got like a packet of bacon and she got some bread. And she was about to pay for it, and I like tapped my phone on the card machine or whatever. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm buying your freaking. It's like $8. Like, what do you care? No, you've done enough for me, So yeah, she snaps her fingers, she gets whatever.
That's awesome, man. So Tweak, thanks so much for coming on, man. I've really enjoyed it. I was like, because now it's like I know you in a different way. I know your comic book story. I know how you got here. I know what you've gone through. But for people listening right now that want to follow you and watch you and tune in, where can they find you and at what times?
So you can find me live on twitch.tv/tweak from 6 p.m. UK time until whatever time in the morning I'm too tired to keep going. And if you just type Tweak into YouTube, I pop up there. Yeah.
And then what can they expect from you on YouTube? How often you post videos?
We usually post like 3 or 4 videos a week. Usually about 3, I want to say. Yeah, sometimes 4 if we've got something extra to put up.
Okay, and then on Twitter, you're also tweak_GG, right?
Tweak_GG, which was my old Twitch name, and then we got partnered, and I got the name Tweak on its own.
Dude, that's such a big difference. I'm like a branding, like I love the same thing all over. So to see like that you have /tweak, I'm like, it's just a different feeling. It's a nice, it's nice feeling.
It feels good for sure, but like I don't think we'll ever get it on Instagram and Twitter. But that's a job for another day.
Yeah. Well, Tweak, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about you. I think a lot of people are gonna really enjoy this and get a ton of value and at least get to know who you are, which I think has been awesome, man. It's really because we've been like 2 trains passing in the night in the Tarkov community, but to be able to sit down with you and talk, man, I really enjoyed it. So thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah. Cheers.
See you guys.